And our participants today are Sri Sudhanshu Ranjanji, a well-known journalist, and other is Professor Anil Prasad. He is also professor of English, and then we have Buddhist, great Buddhist, when Ravi Madinkar from Japan. So Madinkar ji is, but he has some linkages with Bihar, Gaya. He has a good people, Buddhist people. They are the disciples. Today we will be discussing on Gandhi and contemporary global scenario. This is all about what is there, what is happening in country, and had Gandhi been there, then how he could have done for the welfare of the people. So this is the main theme today, and I would also like to add here that Society for Empowerment is also running uh, courses on Gandhi and happiness, then Gandhi and peace, Gandhi and conflict management, Gandhi and disaster management, Gandhian vision of development. So these are the five courses which Society for Empowerment is running, and these courses are much popular in other countries in comparison to our country. So this is the situation. So first of all, I would like to request Sudhanshu Ranjanji to make his presentation on Gandhi and contemporary global scenario.
Thank you, Professor Narayan, and good evening to all of you, Professor Narayan, Professor Anil Prasad, and Mr. Ravi Metankar, and all of you. First of all, I thank you for organizing this seminar and also giving me the opportunity to participate. Gandhi and his ideas are so close to my heart, and I always feel that Gandhi is being wronged for all the wrong reasons. And Gandhi has been relevant as well as irrelevant ever since he has started taking long strides, or rather, he strode as a colossus on the horizon of India and earlier on the horizon of South Africa. His presence was so big that it could not be ignored, but simultaneously, we also find that there are forces opposed to him that wanted to discredit Gandhi for whatever he did. So, personally, I feel that Gandhi has been relevant as well as irrelevant both. And towards the fag end of his life, he was ignored by the leaders whom he propped up, whom he promoted, who got national and international stature. But he felt helpless. He wanted to lead rather another revolution, but he was helpless. He could not do. So, what are these forces? For the lusty champions of Gandhi, he is like a prophet who should be equated with Buddha and Jesus or Muhammad. And for those opposed to him, he was the biggest villain who did everything that went against the interest of the country. He appeased Muslims. He did not look after the interest of the country, rather was interested in his own sainthood and leadership. So these kinds of comments are being made against or on him. But he is always relevant in the sense that the kind of scenario witnessed in the whole world, the war going on between USSR and rather Russia and Ukraine, or the situation that we see between Palestine and Israel, and different kind of wars going on in different parts of the world, that makes essentially makes Gandhi so relevant. And there comes the role of non-violence that he espoused so passionately. Personally, what I feel that Since the Enlightenment, rather, when God was being discredited, it was a fashion to show that there is no God, to call oneself an atheist, because if you call yourself a theist, then you would be dubbed something like a conservative or a laggard. So, since the days of enlightenment in the 18th century and further onwards, we find that there was a tendency to deny the existence of God, and that was further accentuated by the existentialists who felt that there was no source of the moral values, natural or supernatural, so there was no need to follow any moral code, and everyone was free to do whatever one wanted. And that was also espoused by the uh, what do you say, anarchists, that they also followed the same principle that everyone is free. But what was the ultimate result? If we talk of the political changes, definitely there are leaders like Mao or Lenin or Abraham Lincoln, whom whom we can say that they brought about bigger changes than Gandhi could bring. But the essential greatness of Gandhi lies in the fact that he established certain moral codes, because the ultimate result of all these revolutions took us to disaster. What did you find in Russia or USSR, that 50 lakh 5 million people are massacred in the name of purging by Stalin? Or what happened in China, because the democracy has been defenestrated by the communist leaders? And all the great leaders, it is sheer hubris of some leaders of the world and the hubris of some country who are responsible for defenestrating democracy in different countries of Latin America and other places and propping up puppet regimes by the sheer use of force, because they have been able to develop whatever they say the scientific temper, and then it was claimed that the growth and development of scientific temper would ultimately put an end to all kinds of ills and vices that grip the whole world. So, as I told you, because they did not believe in God, and at least they professed. And that's why Nietzsche said that it is the death of God. And then he derisively pointed out that the world has been unhinged because of the death of God, but all the essential features of all these radical movements, whether communism, socialism, or whatever, they are essentially rooted in Christian values of brotherhood, of equality, of the welfare of the people. So they were deriving their values from the Christianity, though the leaders of those movements were hardcore non-believers, hardcore atheists. Gandhi always said that he was a seeker after truth and he believed in God. And in his autobiography, he makes it very clear that the end of his life was getting salvation, but his path to salvation was through the freedom movement. And freedom movement became just a stoppage, because like Mahayana of Buddhism, he wanted to take the whole mankind towards liberation. First it was the political liberation of the country, and then it was his ultimate liberation from the bondage of life and death. But as I said earlier, that there were critics who found that Gandhi was a big hypocrite. He always tried to be a champion of the Hindu Muslim unity, trampled upon the interests of the majority community. So he was maligned, excoriated, and there are people who rather hated him. Presently, there are four classes of people who make swinging attacks on Mahatma Gandhi, and they are followers of Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Ambedkar, and Savarkar. Now, let's first ponder over what are the grounds on which they are attacking Gandhi. The followers of Bhagat Singh have to say that had Gandhi wanted, Bhagat Singh would have survived, because during the Gandhi Irvin talks, Gandhi did not raise the issue of the capital punishment awarded to three revolutionaries effectively. Ultimately, he was hanged, though it is not a fact. Gandhi raised those issues. He also batted for the commutation of the death sentence. Personally, Gandhi was against capital sentence for anyone, not only revolutionaries, even for thieves and murderers. He was against the capital punishment. And it is on record that he wrote several letters to Viceroy, but he did not go to the extent that if it is not commuted, the talks should come to a breakdown. To that extent, he did not go. And that's why people are accusing him that he surrendered. I'm appalled by the WhatsApp messages and some posts on social media that say that Gandhi and Nehru were in a hurry to get Bhagat Singh executed, which is a total lie, just a total lie. Then we have followers of Subhash Chandra Bose because when he was again elected Congress president in the Tripuri Congress against the wishes of Gandhi, defeating his candidate Pattabi Sitaramayya, so they say that Gandhi created a condition in which it was not feasible for Subhash Chandra Bose to work, and ultimately he had to resign. Now let's understand one thing. Subhash Chandra Bose became the Congress president in the Haripura Congress with the blessings of Gandhi. Gandhi was not opposed to Subhash Chandra Bose, and there he blessed Subhash Chandra Bose and he became the Congress president. But he wanted a consecutive second term against which Gandhi was, as I told you, and everyone knows, that Gandhi never supported violence. He said that we may remain slaves or under the colonial rule for thousands of years, but we are not going to resort to violence. In fact, Kriplani had asked him once, what nonsense is this non-violence? What are you talking about? I have read the history of the whole world. No country has become independent without resorting to violence. Ultimately, people were forced to resort to violence. They took up arms and only then they got liberation. Then Gandhiji replied, Professor, you are a professor of history. You read history, you teach history, but I am going to make history, and the history that I will make, you will teach tomorrow. So he had full faith in the power of non-violence. His non-violence was more violent than violence itself that could eat up violence itself. To that extent, we can say that this was the kind of non-violence he espoused, and only a truly brave person could be non-violent, not that it was the weapon of the coward. Since he did not endorsed the philosophy of Subhash Chandra Bose. Though Subhash Chandra Bose was an equally great person, a very brave person, and in the words of Gandhi, a patriot of patriots. Nobody doubted the patriotism of Subhash Chandra Bose. A great patriot, non-parallel, unparalleled. But the method he followed was not acceptable to Gandhi. And those who say that he created a condition that it became difficult for Subhash Chandra Bose to work, they should remember that in the same Tripuri Congress, there was also a Panth resolution which said that the Congress Working Committee will be formed only with the blessings of Gandhi, meaning thereby that without the consent of Gandhi, the Congress Working Committee cannot be formed. And then Subhash Bose had to go to Gandhi. Gandhi said, though, see, I have lost. He made it very clear. Patta bhi ki haar, meri haar. He had no hypocrisy, no dissimulation. So he said that, see, I have been defeated. Now I have no right to dictate and say that these will be the members of the Congress Working Committee. And ultimately, with cutting a long story short, Subhash Chandra Bose had to resign. But people who criticize Gandhi on this count, they must remember that even Subhash Chandra Bose said that if I get the support and admiration of the whole world, but fail to get the blessings of the greatest man, then what is it worth? If we don't get his blessings and his admiration or support. So the support of the whole world is worth nothing. And it was he who called him the father of the nation. Now coming to Ambedkar, whom I personally feel many may not agree that he is an overhyped hero. That he said that when I went to Gandhi as an adversary,
Professor Narayan, I think we got disconnected, so we can go with our inaugural address from Van Ravi Vedankar sir from Japan. When Ravi sir,
Okay,
we are here to listen from you,
okay,
sir.
okay. Medankar ji, please, please, would like to hear you on Gandhi and
Yeah, I actually, I, as I told you, maximum thing Gandhi adopted from the Buddhism. Actually, Buddha was interested in the peace, and as our earlier speaker has already given you the circumstances in the modern time, where everywhere there are people are fighting, the nations are fighting, there the war is going on. So actually, everybody wants to the peace from the mouth, but the whole world has become a small pieces. Not it is the peace. So Gandhian thought was at that time it was for that contemporarily that was good, but modern time I don't feel that it is going on in a proper way, because Gandhi's imagination, the situation on that time was different, and in the this time is different. Because in modern literature or in the discussion in the parliament or other places, there are a number of people have provoked anti Gandhi's theory. Maybe every mind has, because in the Sanskrit there is that munde munde matir virna. So every mind has is free to absorb a person's quality, personality. But whatever the Gandhis did, his contribution in the peace, the manner he did, my earlier friend already explained that even he was in Africa or he was in other places, even in India. So he was a real a torchbearer of the peace. And I think it was all influenced by the Buddha's teaching on the peace, because during the 6th century BC was also the problem of this, and there was also a violence. The violence was is not prevailing just now in this century, but the violence was prevailing also in the 6th century BC, because we find a Buddha has to come out from the place where he was born, and there was some of the, I mean, there this the theories are there that Buddha has to leave this place due to some the problem of the two clans. So two clans were fighting that time, and for keeping them in a peaceful condition, Buddha comes out. So Gandhi's situation and the situation of the this one in this century is little different, but still he's teaching, because there are some of the in universities they have also a study of the Gandhian thoughts. So Gandhi's thought we cannot just finish in 1 hour or 2 hour in a round table discussion. His study needs to go for deeper and deeper study, and whenever we go in the deeper study we find a number of important clues are coming from those studies. So I think there are some more speakers I see in that going on. So as inaugural speech, I will just stop here, because it is very nice topic, and I'm always thankful to Dr. Narayan, who is always pushing me and interested me to give some of the lectures. But also I am busy due to our some conferences in the this August we are holding a World Buddhist conference related with the peace also, Jain also, and yoga. So we have taken the three chapters which we are performing in Hiroshima and Okayama. So I wish you all the best, Dr. Narayan, and we will come on this platform again. We have been earlier on this platform. So thank you everybody for giving me a chance to speak on Gandhi. So Gandhi, we have cannot conclude in few hours or few minutes. Hmm. That's all. So I will stop here now. Thank you very much for giving me a chance, and I hope some other professors and scholars will continue. Thank you, sir. Or
Thank
if I have
you.
any question, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Medankarji.
Uh,
In spite of
no,
your
thank you, sir. You are
medium,
always yeah, you are
you
always
spared
very
some time.
kind to us. Yes.
You spared some time to for us. Thank you very much. But
No, no, no,
actually,
no, it's okay. I'm very happy. And there is one thing is the time difference is there. And then actually this I told you earlier also. This month we will be very busy. Many things. Still after this talk again, I have to work for 1 or 2 hours with our friends who are going to work for this one. Anyway, have a nice time and best wishes for this type of roundtable conferences. Let's take and Gandhi we can also we round image conference is Gandhi is also we it gives me a memory of the Gandhi where he was in the round table conference in England. Thank
okay.
you everybody.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you very
Good
much
night.
for
Thank
joining us. And
yes, sir.
actually, uh,
Yes, sir.
we wanted to share our opinion and wanted to uh, encourage others to think that whether had there been Gandhi today, the long, say, last 1 year or more than 1 year, 2 years, Ukraine, Russia, in other countries. So there is a lot of conflict at the international platform in different countries. So that is creating some sort of lack of, we say, Buddhism, and Gandhiji was greatly impressed by Buddhist thoughts and Buddhist principles, but
Hmm.
that is somewhere it is lacking. So you are a great Buddhist scholar, and you
No, no,
have a lot of
nothing greatness, nothing there. Actually, Gandhi was influenced with different kind of religions and the good thoughts in whatever it was in different religion or different thoughts. So he took all that one and so Buddhism was one part also influenced the Gandhiji, but he was influenced because also he was he when he goes back he say hey Ram. So I think that time also he was influenced with the some Hinduistic Ram also was under there, and his in his singings and some songs you find that he praises everyone, whether it is a Ram, it is Rahim, or either Allah, or we.
these
So,
are increasing day by day. It is
yes,
increasing, but at the same time, the conflict
yes.
the between one group of human to another group of human and the community is increasing. So why it
Hmm.
is so happening when the number of Buddhist followers, Buddhist preachers, and Buddhism as such is increasing so much, and then earlier when the Gandhian philosophy is there, so we are working for last more than 20 years in rural India to see
Hmm.
that how development can be brought through Gandhian vision and Gandhian programs. But at the international level, when you see today, there is a lot of conflict. So, as a Buddhist uh, leader, globally
Hmm.
acknowledged, what will you suggest? What mode should be adopted so that social life, society, world can have a peaceful
You have
living?
to make like this some frequent some conferences, seminars, and also you have to go for that. Actually, the Gandhian thoughts are in many universities. You have been in America also; they also have so. you need to organize like that. In University of California also have one section about the Gandhis. So those things, yeah, I mean, just it is not like something like Coca-Cola or something. You just put the coin and you drink and finish. So you have to make a seminars and at the low level. Actually, we are doing very good work also in the village level, and that, and then it comes the, like now is the global, the word becomes the global, so global, local and the global. So in the both situation you need to arrange some of the workshop, some conferences, seminars, and then it can be more, I mean, the more people will get, because there is I'm not talking NTU or NT per anybody, but now we will find also in the parliament always there is a anti Gandhi also discussions are there. So there are a group of people they don't support the Gandhi. Not this time, during the Gandhi's time also there were some anti Gandhi. That's why he was shot dead. So you're the 100% nobody will follow anybody. So that is there, because the different idea. Just you ask me with why the people are fighting and this, and yes, the role will be there, but 100% somebody will follow you. It's not possible. Even the during the Buddha time, Buddha was not followed by everybody. Of course, the Buddhist people were too much in during the 6th century BC history. But they were that time still the Buddha has to face also many troubles, many problems during that time.
Hmm, that's true. That's
Yes,
true.
sir.
Without that, Nobody can have 100% followers to follow whatever
Yes,
he says. That's true.
yeah,
But even then, when there is so much conflict at the global level, this is what
yeah.
we expect, that there should be some way of some path of peace uh, from Gandhian ideology. Maybe it is a wishful thinking. It may be that it is just a
No, no, but people just talk about peace. But who is interested in peace? Whether the America is interested in peace, Russia is interested in peace. Where is no? Actually, they by mouth everybody wants peace, peace, peace. But the whole world situation, if you will find, the world has divided into two chapters. And both the two chapters are always interested to get some fight, and it has become an international business to sell the arms and ammunition. Do you agree on this point?
okay.
So there is,
Oh,
yeah,
thank you, thank you.
in my idea, no one is interested in peace. The maximum is that they are interested in their economic development all over the world. How to sell the arms and ammunition to other countries.
Yes, that's also true.
Hmm. So there is a very grave questions are there. Thank you, sir, to give me a chance, and we hope to soon meet you in other meetings. Okay. Thank you and good
Okay,
night.
thank you. सुधांशु रंजी जी, आपका थोड़ा समय हम लोगों से डिस्कनेक्ट हो गए थे आप। तो अभी क्या मैं अनिल प्रसाद जी को पहले कह दूं, उसके बाद फिर
हाँ
आपके
बिल्कुल
साथ।
बिल्कुल, पहले पहले अनिल जी को सुनते हैं।
ठीक है, प्रोफेसर अनिल प्रसाद जी।
I'm sorry, sir. I will leave now and then because I have to do some work also. Thank you, sir. So
अरे,
everybody, thank you, and so we see you again. Sab log ko pranam. Good night. Subratri.
प्रणाम।
Pranam, pranam.
गुड
आप
नाइट।
अनिल प्रसाद जी, प्रोफेसर अनिल प्रसाद, प्लीज।
जी जी सबसे पहले आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी टू दिस राउंड टेबल डिस्कशन ऑन गांधी एंड द कंटेम्प्रेरी ग्लोबल सिनेरियो. I also am very happy to meet online Sri Sudhanshu Ranjan ji, and I wanted to hear him, and I am going to hear him after I finish. So I begin with what Sri Sudhanshu Ranjan ji said about Gandhi as a Colossus, and his transformation from Mohandas to Mahatma was a remarkable phenomenon. From half naked fakir to a person who was widely respected and represented, a wonderful personality, as Louis Fisher calls him, and Einstein calls him the most enlightened of all political men of our time, and George Bernard Shaw compares him to the Himalayas. Now, I feel very sad, uh, and I felt sad 2 days ago when one of my friends said that what is the occasion of having a talk on Gandhi, because it is not his punyatithi or not his birthday, or there is no thing like that. Now the problem, why am I saying this? Because when we put him on a high pedestal and forget him the next moment, this is very sad, because Gandhi is no longer a person. He has been transformed into a very comprehensive ideological ideational projection, which are revolutionary, evolutionary, and very dynamic. And when the world is witnessing today the monstrous dance of materialism, communal strife, collapse of values, identity crisis of several types, Gandhi comes to our rescue, and he is both a theorist and also an ardent practitioner whose medium is his message. My recent reading of Ramchandra Guha's book Gandhi Before India made me see him and understand him in a new light. In the very first, in the very beginning of his book, voluminous book, it is almost 700 pages. He concludes in the very beginning that Gandhi is authentically a very global figure. Why does he say so? He says this because he wanted to start a program, a teaching course on arguments with Gandhi. The people, the organizers, the university people, they objected to it and they said that you will not have any student. And if you have any student, that would be from India only. But he found there are more than 30 students and only 3 students from India and all from other countries. So that was the reason why he concludes like this, because he says he has a point that if there is a program like this, arguments with Stalin, arguments with Churchill, arguments with Eisenhower, there will not have been there would not have been students. So Gandhi is such a kind of authentically global figure. And then one day he was walking in, uh, he was teaching environmental education in Berkeley, and then he found on a studio there is something written that if you Gandhi only knows how to make it very fast, and he had a pun on the word fast because it was talking about the fastness of delivery of photographs. He smiled and he felt very happy that there was something that made Gandhi so popular that in a very remote place he is uh, mentioned in this way. The third thing that is there, that Gandhi's personality that was uh, that was shipped out in South Africa, particularly in Natal and Transvaal. And there, I would like to show just an aspect of his personality when he writes a letter to his nephew Chaganlal. I quote, Chaganlal is going to UK for higher studies. I quote, our ultimate capital is not the money we have, but our courage, our faith, our ability. You therefore go to England, your intellect remains unspoiled, and you return with your physical and mental powers strengthened, for our capital will have appreciated to that extent. This shows Gandhi's personality, his strength of personality, and what he was aiming at. Another thing that was very interesting reference I would like to share with you, that in South Africa, someone wrote about him a book in which he gave 17 identities. I quote, South Africa is the grave of many reputation. It has already been the birthplace of a few, and one such is that of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And these 17 identities of Gandhi are like this: Diwan's son, barrister, a stretcher bearer, pamphleteer, cultured thinker, courteous gentleman, manual laborer, etc. At it ends with passive resister. So finally, he is known as a passive resistor, and that was the impact, the greatest impact the world has as a, as a passive resistor. So this is how he is authentically a global figure. Now, I would like to I would like to just share some of my things with this. One of the core ideas in Gandhi's ideology is satyagraha, which he calls truth force. And then he says truth is love. There is a book by Margaret Chatterjee written in 1983 in which he talks about uh, Martin Luther King's visit to India in 1959, in which he says that Gandhi was the guiding light of our techniques of non-violence and social change. And about satyagraha, Gandhi says that it is not a way of confronting the conflict, but a way of dealing with it. I suggest that instead of having a very comprehensive topic like Gandhi and contemporary global scenario, we should have smaller topics like conflict resolution and Gandhi, because that is very important nowadays. So here, in relation to satyagraha and conflict resolution, Gandhi, uh, just a minute. So the aim of that conflict resolution, according to Gandhi, was not that who was right and wrong, but what was right. And it was more than just a resistance in a quest for truth. It was something that one has to stand with the courage to face the truth and speak the truth. And that is the power that shows, that will, the power to stand the truth, speak the truth as against the power to dominate. And that was very important. In 1906, on Indian opinion, there were entries from his cousin Ma- Maganlal as Satya and Agra. Gandhi took this idea from Maganlal and Satya, truth, Agra, to grasp firmly, grasping into truth and truth force that focuses on truth by taking into consideration the versions of both the parties. That is very important in contemporary scenario, that Gandhi was always thinking of listening to both the parties. And that's why it's very important that during my preparation, I found that there is a book written in 2021 and 2019, Gandhi after 9/11, creative non-violence and sustainability. He calls it creative non-violence. Creative because there is always there is always a chance to have something new coming up. There is something that gives a new perspective, that illuminates a new kind of perspective to understand and help resolve the conflict. So, this notion is very important, and related to this is non-violence, that is again very creative. So, it is absence of the desire to harm. So, absence of the desire of to harm is replaced by the life affirming values. So, where there is a collapse of value system, it's very important to understand, because uh, it goes beyond what we think. And as um, said, that there is a need to study his ideas and his principles deeper and deeper, because uh, it is very important to understand the opinion of both the parties. Now, I wrote a paper in 2007 in which I refer to the Clash of Civilization by Samuel Huntington. The paper was not about Gandhi, it was about higher education, and uh, in the context of migration of students, and these students who migrate and go to the West to study, they are called the new majority. So there is always a conflict when people go outside in a new environment. Now, at this time, there was a problem in Bombay. There were bomb blasts in the train. And it is very interesting to understand this in this way, that there was an article in Times of India by Mr. Taktke, Terrorized They Turn to Gandhi. The title of the article was Terrorized They Turn to Gandhi. And I quote, as a broken Mumbai is trying to limp back to life and living, people are looking for a crutch to lean on. Some have taken to angry sloganeering, while others are putting their hopes to the words and ideals of the Mahatma. So kind of this kind of support system, the emotional support the people are trying to get from Gandhi, is very important. I will come to this in international scenario. When the World Trade Center was bombed on 9/11, and there was a problem between the Americans and the jihadis, and uh, there was a narrative created, the clash of culture or clash of civilizations, uh, according to Huntington. And it was on the one hand, there was no Gandhian way of dialogue to examine the mutual misunderstanding and antagonism. Americans criminalized, militarized, and they started the discourse we and they. And the jihadis, they also had recourse to a certain kind of propaganda. Now, at this time, there was a need of Gandhian way to solve this conflict. We all know that at the time when they were looking for weapon of mass destruction, there was no such weapon of mass destruction. And they were talking about international community, and there was no international community as such. Now people uh, were surprised that why they were doing that, and the problem uh, uh, ended in a kind of clash of civilization or something like that. So this created a problem. There was a need to there is a need for a dialogue in the Gandhian way to solve this problem. Now I come to the this section that there is one person who is a Yemeni Nobel laureate whose name is Tawakkul Karman. She came to India. When we are talking about the importance of Gandhi in contemporary global scenario, she came to India. Perhaps she came to give a lecture on Babu Jagjivan Ram Jayanti or something like that. And she said that uh, Mahatma Gandhi has been an inspiration for the Arab youth. Another Nobel Peace Laureate uh, from Myanmar, her name is Aung San Suu Kyi. She also finds Mahatma Gandhi uh, as a very important inspiration. As much as the Time magazine said that Time magazine named her as one of the children of Gandhi. So this is how I show you that the the in the global scenario how much important is Gandhi. Gandhi, we were talking about peace and other aspects of modern life, and non-violence and peace movement very important today, and it is the cornerstone of the peace movements worldwide. I have already talked about Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Dalai Lama, Aung San Suu Kyi, I just mentioned. They all were influenced by Gandhi's ideas of peace. His emphasis on simple living, self-reliance, sustain, sustainability aligns with the contemporary environmental movement, and his idea of Sarvodaya, the welfare of all, the, promotes the vision of development that is inclusive and ecologically balanced. So, at the time when the world is threatened by climate change, Gandhi's teaching on sustainability, a kind of living that respect nature, is more pertinent than ever. Social justice and human rights in today's world is influenced by Gandhi because he was against any kind of discrimination, and he promoted social justice. For ethical governance, for political leadership, he was all for ethics and morality. His insistence on ethical leadership and accountability in governance offers valuable lessons in today's political leadership. Uh, I would like to mention here that in a prayer meeting in Delhi in 1947, when Gandhi suggested water harvesting, and surprisingly, the same was suggested by M.S. Swaminathan and his committee in 2006. So Gandhi was always ahead of his time, and that's why he is called a prophet, a person who could see the future. We have already talked about conflict resolution and dialogue. It's very important means Swarajya, Sarbodaya, they are infallible means to attain social stability and welfare. His economic models and social enterprise are used by many countries, and many marginalized communities are being helped. So his relevance in global issues for peace and conflict and other things are very important. He always believed in dialogue and reconciliation. We have already South Africa and Uganda and other countries where uh, the movements like Black Lives Matter, United States leverage involved protests against systemic racism and police brutality. They all echo Gandhi's techniques of civil disobedience to highlight injustice and mobilize public opinion. In international diplomacy, in post-conflict societies, as there was a uh, uh, arrangement in South Africa, there should be arrangement somewhere else. And we are already talked about uh, uh, Ukraine, Russia war, and I think there would be a chance to solve this on Gandhian method if there is a leader like him to persuade people to stop this war. In Middle East, there is no overt instance of Gandhian influence, but as I have suggested, that people talked about his leadership, his ways of conflict resolution. So here we have these are the things which are very important for global in global scenario, contemporary global scenario, in environment, in governance, and in rural communities. And that is how Gandhi, as Guha says, that he is authentically a global figure. We have to think about it and we have to talk about it. And we should, instead of having a general topic, we should have more uh, uh, a smaller topic which could be discussed at length, uh, and we can threadbare and understand the implications of Gandhi in the modern contemporary global scenario. Thank you very much.
Now I request Professor Dr. Sudhanshu Ranjan sir uh, to give his deliberation, sir. Sudhanshu Ranjan sir, please. Sir, you are muted, sir. You are muted, sir. Please
Now,
unmute.
am I audible now?
Now audible, sir.
Okay. So I said that after the comprehensive presentation by Professor Anil Prasad, and like a true professor, he really prepared for this webinar, though I am not prepared. Whatever I am saying from the knowledge that I gained in the past. So some very important points have been raised by him and also by the past speaker from Japan, Vedhankar. I could not complete in the first instance when I was given a chance. So, as I had said then, that several ideologies and movements that denied the existence of God, I think that is also one of the reasons, basic reasons for this kind of violence and the way things are going, not to the liking of most of the people in the world. I talked about existentialism. They denied the existence, and they said that even if God existed, then who will interpret his words or the sign? So there will be some intermediaries, and what is the guarantee that the interpretation that we get about the message of God will be right? So every movement was denying the existence of God, and there lies the problem. And then Dostoevsky also warned communists that if there is no God, then everything becomes permissible, and that is really happening. That everything has become permissible. So there should be a moral check, and how to have that moral check? Moral check can only be by a person who practices those values and who keeps aloof from the allurement and the attractions of power. So Gandhi was the only person in the history, right from, if you go through the freedom movements of different countries, so right from George Washington to Nelson Mandela, he was the only exception who shunned power. Despite being the greatest leader of the movement or revolution, he did not accept power, kept himself away from it. He was the only example. In fact, I feel that this race for power and this use of force, once you get power and then you want to acquire force to dominate and subjugate others, if that race is to be stopped, if this practice is to be reversed, then we have to take recourse to the Gandhian ideals. There are many things. You think that this scientific temper will lead to more reasoned society. People ratiocinate that most of the ills are because of the fact that we assign someone's misfortune to their past misdeeds in the previous lives. So Marx said that God is an opium, and this is the way how people are exploited. Everything fine. That may be true to some extent, that in the name of God also exploitation goes, but the growth of scientific temper has not led us to the kind of society they wanted to evolve. What did they do? They could not do like that. They said that it was because of religion, because of superstition, because of God, but that did not happen. So I personally feel that Gandhi was the only person who combined both morality with the presence of God. There should be something like a moral weight. Lohia said that two inventions of the 20th century are Gandhi and Einstein. And I feel, as Anil Prasad has made a reference to Einstein, I did not know about this statement that he made, but the very famous statement of Einstein that the generations to come will scarce believe that there was a man in flesh and blood who ever walked on the surface of the earth. Lohia said two inventions, Gandhi and Einstein, and I feel that both these people combined one thing in common, that they were aloof from power. They did not want power. Gandhi shunned power, and when in 1948 Israel was created, Einstein was offered the first presidency. He was to be made the first founding president of Israel, and he declined. He said that I don't want to be president. So this is also a great message from these two great people, that you just don't need power to do whatever you want to do. There are some bigger forces. You have to invoke and appeal to the moral forces, to the innate morality of the mankind, and that will lead to the betterment of the society. What we find in India, and in fact the whole world, that everyone wants power, everyone is running after power. So we have to take inspiration from Gandhi. The only one person after Gandhi was Jayaprakash Narayan, who also shunned power. He could have become prime minister, but he did not. So that is one thing. And now this whole race for the weapons of mass destruction, as Anilji just mentioned about, why is it happening? Weapons of the falsehood that is being spread, Gandhi's emphasis on truth and non-violence. Because I think in the past 500 years or even more, he was the only one who put truth on such a high pedestal. That truth is so important. Now, through falsehoods, you are disseminating false news and making false narrative two Gulf wars. The second Gulf War was palpably on the ground that Iraq has got biological weapons. No evidence of it. It could never be proved. One daughter of the US ambassador, Neria, she was presented as the victim of the Iraqian forces who was raped and things like that. All these false narratives were spread and disseminated. So Gandhi's philosophy of truth and non-violence, that you have to be truthful. Now truth is the biggest casualty. I am working on this subject also, and this whole narrative of post-truth, I think that is also a humbug, because it is not that for the first time this problem of falsehood or lies has come up. It is in existence since the civilization came into existence. From the very beginning of the civilization, we find that there is a problem of falsehood. And that's why Diogenes was kept moving even in daytime with lantern, because he said that he wanted to find an honest man. So even in his time, there was such a dearth of honest people. And uh, some decades back, the oldest document of Babylon was discovered, and even the content has been deciphered. And when you read those writings, the content, then there is such a depressing depiction that everyone is dishonest. There is so much of deception, so much of immorality, and things like that. In that perspective, I think after a long time, Gandhi came up with these two strong weapons of truth and non-violence, and that we have to appreciate, because the world is not going to be improved by all these scientific endeavors only. The invention of atom bomb was not only a scientific development, it was also a political decision that has to be understood, that all these strides in science and technology are made not only by scientists. There are political forces, and that's why when Einstein had to flee from Germany, he did not want to make a bomb, and he had to go to America, and there also he was forced to do it. And ultimately, the bomb was used. And that also, again, under a false narrative that Japan is not going to surrender. Japan had given a clear hint that it is going to surrender, but that news was suppressed, and that has been corroborated by many generals and admirals of America itself, that Japan had given a clear hint about its surrender, but that was suppressed because America wanted to bombard Japan. So the whole world will be finished if this is the way things go on. As Gandhiji said, that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth will make the whole world blind and toothless. So personally, I feel that Gandhiji had a very profound message for the society. One thing that I could not complete when I talked about Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Ambedkar, and Savarkar. What was the grouse that Savarkar had against Gandhi? Because he said that both and Gandhi are mainly responsible for making the country effeminate. They emasculated the country of its bravery by stressing on ahimsa, ahimsa, and ahimsa. That is nowhere to be found in the tradition of this country, because our country has the tradition of Ramayana and Mahabharata. And we find both Lord Ram and Lord Krishna fighting for their rights with weapons. They did not spare anyone. And this is what Tilak also said, that India has been suppressed and subjugated only because our saints put so much of stress on nivritti, nivritti, and nivritti. Gita does not lay any stress on nivritti. It is on pravritti. Don't leave the world. दुनिया को छोड़ो नहीं, दुनिया को बदलो. So the stress is on pravritti, not on nivritti, and that is the wrong interpretation of the Gita. So he gave another interpretation. So that was the kind of interpretation, that because of the emphasis on non-violence by both and also by Gandhi, that so many foreign invaders and looters and barbarians came and trampled upon us, and then we were enslaved for thousands of years. But I think maybe there are also takers for these theories. I don't say that there are no takers, and maybe we are also forced to think like this, whether we should fight. If Ram fought and if Krishna fought, then why should we not fight? The subject that you have kept is not for the interpretation of Gita and for Ramayana and Mahabharata, but I think that the kind of situation obtaining at the moment in the whole world demands that we must go for dialogue and non-violence that was preached by Mahatma Gandhi. Not that for the first time he was preaching non-violence, but he did what he said what he practiced, not something that he did not practice. As he said, कथनी और करनी कि एक औंस करनी जो है 100 टन कथनी से ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण होता है. You preach only what you practice, and Gandhi was the, I think, the best example of Kathni and Karni. Absolute coordination between these two, no hypocrisy. What he could not do, he would not say what he could not do. If he talked about the rights of the Bhangis in 1996 in Calcutta Congress, he himself cleaned the toilets. He said, who is going to clean those toilets? He was said that there are sweepers. Why should sweepers do? I will do it myself. And so he did it in Calcutta Congress. So whatever he preached, he did himself, and that was a condition in his ashram, Sabarmati ashram, that you have to clean the human excreta also. That was condition. If you are not prepared to do it, you cannot come to this ashram. So Gandhi's message to the world is this: that you have first to practice what you want to preach. You have to truthful. Non-violence is the only way for the world to survive, because you see what is happening with these weapons of mass destruction, the whole world. As Medankar was rightly saying, that
Ranjanji,
nobody
we are
can
running short of time.
the scale of their
And
weapons. Yes, yes, Professor Narayan, tell me.
Dhanshu Ranjanji, our time is finished. We are over.
Okay,
And we are concentrating on contemporary global scenario. So we are very much thankful to you and thankful to Anil Prasad ji and to that Ravi Medankar ji for taking part in this webinar. And if there is any question by the viewer, we can take it up. Hello, is there any question? No question. Okay.
Sir, no questions, sir.
If there is any question, then we may take it up.
Sir,
From the viewers,
presently no questions from viewers.
hmm?
Sir,
Okay,
no questions from viewers, sir. We can conclude.
okay then. Thank you very much, Sudhanshu Ranjanji and to Professor Anil Kusharji. We will meet again in some other program.
Thank you.
Okay,
okay,
thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you.